welcome back to my channel. So I am here today to chat a little bit about a topic that has come up in like 4 or 5 conversations in the last week or so. And so I thought maybe you guys would be interested to hear what I have to say and to share in the comments down below so I can know what you think as well. So here's the topic. It's spurred by a kind of decision that I said that I was making this year. So I said that this year, at least in the beginning of the year, I'm going to try to not read so many books at the same time, to just kind of focus on finishing things. So if you've been watching me for any period of time, you know that I always set these really ambitious goals for reading, because I want to read all the books all the time. But I guess what I have found is that I can't read all the books simultaneously. That's really been the revelation for me. So at any one point, I'll have several reading projects going on at the same time. So I may be involved in 1 or 2 buddy reads. I may be reading books for a reading challenge, like one I'm participating in on Facebook. I may be reading books to judge the BookTube prize, and I may just be reading a book for me. I may be reading books because I need to write a review because a publisher sent me a book, that kind of thing. But yeah, I may also just be reading a book that I'm interested in reading right now. Like I go to the library, small tangent. So I went to the library yesterday, my daughter and I, and she wanted to use the checkout machine. So I told her we have to find a book. So she just went to the shelf and she picked up a book and she said, "Okay, mommy, check out this one." I was like, it's not how it works, baby. That's not how it works. So then I said, all right, let's go to the shelf where usually I find books that I want to read. And so she walked around and she was like, get this book. And I was like, okay, all right, let's get this book and that book, which is how I end up with so many books at home. But that's another story for a different time. So coming back to the original point, which was that sometimes I have a book that I'm reading just for me, because we went to the library and I saw it and I picked it up. I took it home. It wasn't on my 2023, my whole year TBR. It's not on any of my reading projects. I just went to the library and I saw it and it was free, so I brought it home and I want to read it right now. So like I'm saying, all of that to say, at any one point I have several books that I should be reading right now. But what has happened in the past was that I would get more invested in one book than the others. And so I would try to push to finish that book, and then some of the others would kind of linger. And if I put a book down for too long, and for me too long means I'm not remembering everything that I read previously. Details are sketchy, character names have evanesced, and I feel like I need to go back and start the book or skip back and read several sections before. If it gets to that point, I usually want to start the book over. And I can't always do that because then I'm not finishing books that I've started. So I made a decision last month, I think in January. I said what I was going to do, and it wasn't an official goal for the year. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I'm making oxtail. And it's a really long process, so I had to go put some water. Anyway, yeah. So what has happened in the past is that I've had books, and because I wasn't actively reading them all the time, like I'd read 20 pages here and then kind of put it down and go read other things that were more interesting to me right now, or that I have to read for one of the above mentioned reasons. I just didn't get back to it in a reasonable period of time. And so after some time, it's like I'm not really reading the book. It might be marked on my Goodreads as currently reading, but I'm not really reading it because so much time has passed. So one of the things that I decided to do in January, and like I said, it wasn't an official goal, it wasn't on my list of goals, because it wasn't something that I thought I was going to do all year. But I said I was going to try to keep the number of books that I'm reading right now at any one point right now, keep that down to a smaller number, like 4. 4 is like my magical number at this point. So I'll be reading, and usually if I'm reading 4 books at the same time, it would be 4 books that are very different from each other. So like right now, I'm in the process of judging a round of nonfiction for the BookTube prize. So I may be reading, like, okay, let's use my February reading for example. So there was a point where I was reading this, which is Bernardine Evaristo's memoir slash discussion on life as a Black British woman, and a little bit about her life as a writer and growing as a writer, different kinds of writing, that kind of thing. So I was reading this, and I was reading The Devil in the White City, which is history and a little bit of suspense. And let me look at my list and tell you what else I was reading at the same time. Yeah. And so then at that same time, I was reading The Devil in the White City. I was reading Manifesto. I was reading A Mercy, which is historical fiction by Toni Morrison. And I was already reading that. And that is set in the 1600s. So very different from everything else that I'm reading at that point. And so then I was able to also add a novel, and I was reading that on my Kindle app on my phone, because I don't have a Kindle from Amazon. I was reading The Cuban Heiress by Chanel Clayton, which is set aboard a ship. So even though 3 of those books are set in the past, A Mercy set in the 1600s, The Devil in the White City set in the late 1800s, and The Cuban Heiress set in the early 1900s. And of course, Manifesto, about contemporary history, 80s to present day. So 4 books, but 4 very different kinds of books. And I was able, and at that point I'm able to keep all the different stories and all the different timelines together. So although I was very tempted to add some other things, and as I finished one thing I could add something else, there was a point where I was just focusing on those 4 stories. And I remember there was a day when I said, I don't really want to read this book right now. Like, I picked up Devil in the White City, and I said, I want to read this right now. Maybe I should pick up something else. And I said, no, I'm already reading 4 things, and I'm not going to add anything new until I finish one of those. So, oh no, that's not true. I was also reading another thing. I was reading 5 things, so I've cheated. I was also buddy reading a short story collection. Again, set in the 1900s, and this one, so there was a point to this month where I was reading 5 things, I guess is what I'm saying, and they were all very different, so I was able to keep them separate, and I was able to focus. And I remember there was a day when I got to the point where I said, I don't really want to read any of these right now. I want to read something else. Like, I picked up Devil in the White City because I wanted to read like my 50-page goal for the day. And I said to myself, I don't want to read this. I want to pick up something else, one of the new and shiny things on my bookshelf. And in other times, I may have, because like I said, I have an extensive TBR. I have lots of other books just waiting in the wings, or waiting on the shelves, as the case may be. But I told myself, if I don't feel like reading one of these books, then I'm going to pick up another one. And so I chose one of the other books that I was already still reading, and just focused on reading that until I was done. And then when I was done with that, then I could choose something else. So there wasn't any point this month where I was reading anything more than 4 or 5 books, because I'm trying to keep the number of books that I'm reading down to a minimum. 4 is a good number. 5 is also still acceptable. A couple of days ago, I was talking to Columbus and Rosalie. We were doing our check-in, and Columbus was saying how he's amazed that I read so many different things at the same time. And this is just to kind of answer that. If I'm reading a lot of things, it's a lot of different kinds of things. I'm usually not picking up 2 books that are very similar. I'm not reading 2 books by the same author at the same time. Like this month, February, I put 2 books by James Baldwin on my TBR, Giovanni's Room and Go Tell It on the Mountain. And I don't know what the books are about. I didn't know whether they were going to be similar or not. They're not. Both books seem to be about young black men, but this one, Go Tell It on the Mountain, is about a teenage boy, while Giovanni's Room is about an older man, an adult male. So I'm still just at page 47. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to finish this today. But that's beside the point. Coming back to, yeah, so if I put two books on my TBR around the same time, I have to finish one before I'll pick up another. So it's Black History Month in February, and because I don't know what the books are about, I don't want to choose two books that I think are going to be similar, maybe two books that are set in the same time, same place, same kinds of experiences being explored. I don't want to do that. So I set enough time between books that I think may deal with similar topics, so I can experience them and be able to focus on them. So yes, I may be reading multiple books at one time, but there's a little bit of a strategy towards the choices. And what I'm trying to do right now is to try to minimize those choices for myself. So I'm never going to be at the place where I'm only reading one thing, because I just, like, you guys can't see the table. Maybe I'll show you. You guys can see the table in front of me. There are stacks of books right in front of me. And of course, the stacks of books, the shelves of books that you can see behind me. A lot of these books are unread. A lot of these are books that I want to read right now. But I'm trying to limit the number of books that I start at any one point, and I'm actively reading at any one point, so I can focus on them. So that was something that I tried in January, and I felt like it was successful. In February, it got a little bit outside of the parameters that I had set. But in March, I'm planning to rein it back in a little bit. I'm going to be focusing on books that I need to read to meet certain challenges, and not just books that are appealing to me for aesthetic purposes. As I'm saying that, I know I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm going to focus on the books that I need to read. Like, I still have 5 books to finish for BookTube prize reading. So one of those every week will get me to the end of the month. May need to pick up that pace, but that's the average. So yeah, just want to chat a little bit about that. Let me know in the comments down below if you read multiple things, multiple books, if you're having multiple books on the go. So before BookTube, I used to probably only be reading one. I used to be probably only reading one thing. Sean the Book Maniac, I'm blaming you. Sean, I think, normalized for me the idea of reading lots of books at any one point. And like Sean said, that was the way to read books. I believed him. There's no right or wrong way to read a book. But I know Sean talks about not wanting to go too fast through a book. Like, you want to be able to read the book and think about it and center on it and focus on it and incorporate your thoughts on the book in other parts of your life, that kind of thing. I don't dispute that. It just, for me, I'm gonna have to speed up that process, so that I can only be reading 4 or 5 books at a time. Five is my maximum, I think. We reserve the right to revisit this shortly, presently, soon. We'll see. This is a process of evaluation. I'm still trying to figure out how my reading life, how my reading tastes, how my reading habits are changing. So let me know what you do. If you read a lot of books at the same time, or if you don't, why or why not? Why did you make the choice that you have made, and how is it working for you? So yeah, just wanted to share this today. A little bit of a chatty, not sure what the point of this video, except to say that I tried to whittle down my reading, my number of books that I'm reading, down to a smaller number, a more manageable number for me, just because I feel like I haven't, in the past when I wasn't doing that, I wasn't finishing all the books that I wanted to finish. Like, I'd get to the point where I'd put down a book because I wasn't as interested in the book at that point, and because I had so many options, I wasn't going back to it, and then too much time had passed. And so it's not like I've DNF'd the book. It's not like I've made an active decision I'm never going to read the book. Just, I've put it down for so long, if I'm gonna read it again, I'm gonna have to start from the beginning, and I just feel like I don't have time. This book is like that. The Count of Monte Cristo, Alexander Dumas. I started it twice. It's a big book, and I've gotten to about the same place in the book twice, and then just kind of put it aside, read other things, and then too much time had passed and can't come back. Can't start where I am, have to go back to the beginning, and just feel like it's a little overwhelming. So if you do that and you're able to, if you have any experiences like mine, I don't want to say what I just said. If you have experiences like mine or very different from mine, please let's chat in the comments. Would love to hear from you, what you think, what you do, and why you do that. So thank you so much for watching this mess of a video. Another mess of a video is coming very soon. I hope you join me for it. Until then, happy reading. Bye. Oh, and give this video a thumbs up. Give this video a thumbs up. Thumbs ups, they help me with my channel. And of course, your comments also help me with my channel. And of course, if you want to share this video or, you know, play it several times, that would be great too. See you later. Bye.